Hey everybody, it's Portable Bobby here, and this is the way I see it. I want to thank my subscribers. I want to thank my viewers. I want to ask you to subscribe. I want to ask you to like, and I want you to comment. If you want to stay locked into this channel, if you like what I'm trying to do, then watch a video and leave a comment and hit the like button, and you'll be locked into my channel and you won't be deleted a month or two down the road for not viewing my channel. I hope that you'll do that, because I certainly want you to be locked in. It's really funny being a YouTuber. You know, you gain 5 or 10, and then the very next morning you lose 2 or 3. And what's happening is there are subscribers who subscribed months ago, and they haven't viewed a video, and they haven't left a comment, and they haven't left a like. So that means that after a period of time they will be deleted from my channel. My subscription will never show up in your feed again unless you resubscribe. So I'm asking you now to lock yourself in. Pardon me. My PayPal information is in the link below if you'd like to donate to this channel to help me grow. It'd be greatly appreciated, no matter the amount. Greatly appreciated. People, I want to tell you a little bit today. I want to tell you a really short story about a poor little baby, and then I want to read something to you, and I'm going to give you an opinion. Mesa, Arizona. 27-year-old Gabriel Garcia was arrested last Thursday for child abuse of a 7-month-old baby. A 7-month-old baby, friends. Can you believe that? A 7-month-old baby. I just wonder how many terrible things this baby did to receive the punishment that he received. In early April, the baby's mother took the child to Banner Estrella Hospital and claimed the child had a fever, and when she fed him, milk came from his nose. Well, people, we all know that ain't right. When you feed a baby, his milk shouldn't come out his nose, so at least she did take him to the hospital. The 7-month-old baby boy was transported to Phoenix Children's Hospital, where doctors determined that he had several injuries, including a broken leg, two fractured ribs, a fractured skull, and a laceration on the back of his throat. And he had bruises all over his body. This is a 7-month-old baby, people. And Garcia told police he was the main caregiver for the victim, but he denied ever abusing that baby. He never abused that baby. Police executed a search warrant on Garcia's phone, and they recovered 3 recently deleted photographs. The first photo showed Garcia feeding the baby with a blue spoon. Nothing wrong with that. The second photo showed the baby in distress, with what appeared to be an adult thumb deep inside the baby's throat. He was choking this baby with his thumb. The third photo showed the baby in distress again, with a blue spoon shoved down his throat. Garcia admitted to shoving the blue spoon down the baby's throat, but denied any abuse. What an idiot. Garcia told police that he sometimes gets angry, and he blacks out, and he deals with demons. Well, I'm thinking he come up with that idea when he got arrested. He had no excuse for what he had done to that poor baby. So he wanted to blame it on being angry and having blackouts and dealing with demons. Yeah, you're dealing with demons, old man. Let me tell you what, you are a demon. You have a demon heart to do such a thing to a child. Although he denied abusing the baby, he said there could have been times when he did hurt the baby, but he didn't know it because he was in a blackout. Give me a break, people. Sounds like a alibi and excuse for me. Because the injury to the baby's throat, he had a feeding tube in place when released from the hospital 2 weeks later. And tell me, why in the world did they release this baby back to this woman and her boyfriend? The man who had caused all these injuries to this young 7-month-old baby. Because of the injuries of the baby's throat, he had a feeding tube. Garcia was arrested on June 13th. A judge set a $7,500 secured bond and ordered Garcia to have no contact with the victim should the bond be paid. The victim, get this. Garcia is not to have any contact with the victim. My goodness, he shouldn't have had no contact with that victim before the baby became a victim. Don't tell me that mother didn't see the bruises. Don't tell me that mother didn't know that this child's leg was hurt or his chest hurt from broken ribs. Babies cry when they hurt. Is this why you took him to the hospital, because you couldn't keep him from crying? Well, I guess not. He had a fractured skull, a broken leg, 2 broken ribs, and bruises all over his body with a laceration on the back of his throat, woman. And they released him back into your custody. I don't agree with that one bit. You should be arrested for being complacent, because you knew these injuries were occurring. And until you saw milk coming out of his nose, you weren't worried about it. And if I had to guess, you weren't worried about it then. You don't get a pat on the back for taking that poor baby to the hospital. You should have taken him much sooner. You're no kind of mother, in my opinion. This baby should have never been given back to you. You know, this kind of stuff just eats my lunch. But here's one that's really going to eat your supper. Houston, Texas. Stephen Bratton, co-pastor of Grace Family Baptist Church in Houston, Texas, who publicly backed a hardline anti-abortion law, has been charged with repeatedly sexually abusing a teenage relative. Okay, people, so this guy was really big and he was on the bandwagon about this anti-abortion stuff. He was putting his name out there, and the whole time he was abusing a 13-year-old girl. Good Lord, people. What kind of pastors do we have in our churches? Just the other day, I did a report on 3 pastors in Ohio who had been doing the same thing to a 14-year-old girl and passing her back and forth between them. People, you can't trust these people in our churches. I've told you that over and over again. You cannot trust pastors. You can't trust teachers. You can't trust Sunday school teachers. You can't trust policemen. You can't trust lawyers and judges. You cannot trust your best friend. You cannot trust your brother or your sister. These people sometimes harm our children or are pedophiles. People, you need to wake up. A pedophile and a child abuser doesn't have a sign across his forehead that says, "I hurt children." You've got to do a parent's job and do some parenting. Know who your kids are seeing. Know where they're going. Know who they're with. And if something happens, prosecute the person to the extent of the law. Don't sit there. Do like this church did. Well, Bratton began abusing the girl when she was just 13 years old and continued assaulting her and eventually raping her multiple times a day over a 2-year period. Did you hear what I just said? This is a pastor of a church. Bratton, he's a father of 7 kids. 7 kids. But he confessed to 2 other pastors last month of his crimes against this child. The same day the pastors found out about the abuse, They filed a police report and excommunicated him from the church. Thank God. Thank you, Lord, for that. You know, the pastor said that before he came and confessed to them, that he confessed to his wife the day before he spoke to church leaders. His wife and 7 children are now living under a court-ordered emergency protection order. And last week, the Southern Baptist Church Convention passed reforms toughening screening process for pastors in an effort to tackle a growing scandal about sex abuse within the denomination. People, they just admitted, the Southern Baptist Leadership Conference just admitted that they have pedophiles in the church. They wouldn't have had to pass this rule if they weren't concerned about pedophiles in the church. Watch your children, people. You can't trust anybody with them. But I'm going to tell you, it's a little funny. I'm going to tell you a story. Thank God I was living 150 miles away or I'd have killed somebody. My mother married a man, a religious man. He was a big deacon in the church. I liked him. I thought he was a super guy. And after my dad died, I was glad that Mom had found somebody good and loving and caring and God-fearing. Well, it didn't take very long for him to show his true colors. My mother was a home care provider, and she worked the 11 to 7 shift. Well, one night, while she was at work, my niece was visiting, and she was spending the night. Well, this demon tried his best to molest her. She was only 10 years old, but she had the brain and the thinking to run, to lock herself in her room, and to call 911. This was a 10-year-old child that did this. And I'm going to tell you why she did it, because she was raised right. She was raised knowing that this was not right, and she ran from it. She was not going to be coerced into playing any little sex games with him. She ran, she was scared, and she did the right thing. She called 911. Well, before the police could even get to the house, he jumped in his little truck and he drove to Atlanta, and he committed himself to Georgia Regional Institute. It's a mental hospital in Atlanta. It's a state-funded mental hospital, to be exact. He went in there and he told these doctors that he was suicidal. He never mentioned the fact that he had just tried to molest a 10-year-old girl and was running from the law. So they admitted him for 72 hours for observation. Well, the moment they released that piece of crap, they arrested him. Cobb County Police was sitting there waiting on him. They took him straight to jail. They processed him. They arrested him. And he made bail. Well, come to find out, after this happened, that his daughters, who had daughters, he had molested his own grandchildren that belonged to his biological daughters. And when that was found out, they went to the church. And I'm going to say the name of the church because, people, you need to know this stuff. He was an Episcopalian. So he went to the Episcopal church and he admitted that he had molested his 3 granddaughters. The church found that there was no need for him to be prosecuted in criminal court. There was no need for him to have his name defamed over this one little mistake that happened over and over again over a period of time. So the church prayed for this man. They prayed for this pedophile and cured him. They professed that he was cured. And it wasn't 3 years later he tried to molest my niece. People, we can't trust these churches. We can't trust these deacons. We can't trust the elders. We can't trust anybody in our churches. I don't care what religion you are. That's why I don't go to church. I have a Bible. I have a Strong's exhaustive concordance that tells me the Hebrew and the Greek Chaldee translations of every word. And I do my own research and my own study. I used to belong to the Baptist church. I used to be there every time the doors opened. I heard so many lies and corruption coming from the pulpit. I had to walk away. Just like a lot of Democrats have to walk away from the Democrat Party. Sometimes you just have to walk away. I'm not going to sit in a church and have a pastor tell me, don't open your Bibles. I'm going to read to you, then I'm going to interpret it, and then I'm going to give you a sermon on it and tell you how to act and how to behave. I ain't going to do that crap, people. Jesus Christ said, "Come whoever will. No man cometh to the Father but by me." And my heart belongs to Jesus Christ, and I believe in the Lord God, our Creator. And people, these evil demons who harm our children walk around scot-free a lot of times because the church handles the situation. Just like in the Catholic Church, they tell you, do not report sexual abuse to the authorities. Report it to the elders of the church. And they'll send a bishop out to investigate instead of a licensed police officer who is educated in working these matters. So let the church handle it, people. I'm going to tell you, that's exactly what's going on. I don't care if it's the Baptist church, the Episcopalians, the Mormons, the Muslims, the Catholics, the Jews, it doesn't matter. Pedophiles and pedivores are everywhere in our society, and I dare you to prove to me that there is not a pedophile in your neighborhood. Maybe you need to look at the, I forget what you call it now. When you abuse the child, you're put on a list, child predator list. Check that list. See how many people in your neighborhood alone are child predators or human traffickers. They're everywhere, people. But you have to look to see who they are and where they are. They're in our government. They're in our schools. They're in our churches. They're everywhere. They're in our police department, as I've reported on several cases. I've reported on judges. I've reported on policemen. I've reported on pastors. I've reported on bus drivers. I've reported on school teachers. I've reported on your uncles and your aunts and your nieces and your nephews and your family that abuses your child. People, they're everywhere. And with the demon rats selling what they're selling to the people today in America, it's no wonder that they are evil. Because they're teaching evil. They're teaching corruption. They're teaching Satan. They're teaching pro-abortion. They're teaching kill babies. They're teaching molest babies. They're teaching in the 9th grade in California that pedophilia is a normal sexual orientation and should not be prosecuted. People, it eats my lunch, breakfast, and supper. I'm going to tell you, I get fed up, and I'm fed up to right here, right now. I can't wait to go to D.C. I cannot wait to go to D.C. with Michelle. I pray to God that somehow we'll be able to come up with the money for that trip. Because I tell you what, I don't back down from people. And I'm not going to let Michelle get in trouble. But I ain't guarantee you that I won't. Because I'm going to get in the faces of these people. It's time we stop taking our hands out of our pockets. We need to do something. Take our hands out of our pockets, look them in the face, put our finger in their nose, and tell them they're wrong. And I'm just a person to do that. I don't care what they do to me. I'm an old man. I've had everything done to me that could ever be done, and I've survived it all. But people, we need an in-your-face response to these people. We need to stop just sitting around with our hands under our butts and saying, well, they shouldn't have done that. Well, no, they shouldn't have done that. And you shouldn't have sat on your hands. You should have got off your damn hands, stood up on your damn feet, walked up there, put your finger in their face, put your nose in their face, and told them what you thought of them. Because that's what I'm going to do. And I do it all the time. Do you think for 1 minute when I wear my MAGA hat I'm scared? Not in the least. You let some idiot, social justice warrior grab my hat, he's going to find a cap in his ass. It ain't going to happen, people. We got to start standing up. We got to be strong. We got to support our president. We got to support our government. We have to support our God, and we have to love our Jesus. It's that simple. If you're a God-loving American human being, this child abuse and abortion stuff just ought to eat your lunch. It angers me to no end, people, and I don't like getting angry. But it seems like maybe sometimes when I get angry, I get more views. And I don't do it for views, people. Let me tell you that. I'm not here for views. Yes, I want subscribers. Yes, I would love to have 1,000 subscribers today. But people, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep saying what I'm saying. I'm going to keep fighting the hard fight, and I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to let the Supreme Court, I'm not going to let Donald Trump get away with anything he shouldn't do. And I dang sure ain't going to let the demon rats walk free. People, I'm sorry I got so excited. But I tell you, this stuff just eats me. I have a lot of stuff about this, what I just read, that hits home with me. That was part of my family went through that same kind of stuff. I was a man married to a woman who had an affair and had an abortion before I ever knew it. I was never given a chance. And I'm going to tell you something, people. If you'll watch that video from American Joe or from Forbidden Information of that 16-year-old boy standing outside the abortion clinic, screaming and crying and praying and begging, "Don't kill my baby," to his girlfriend who had just went in for an abortion. People, it affects the men. Surely it's in different ways. It's not like a woman having an abortion. Because I'm going to tell you, they're choosing it. They're choosing to murder that child. But as a man who would have raised that child and loved that child and nurtured that child and gave that child everything it needed to grow into adulthood and be a productive member of society, I was robbed of that opportunity. I don't care if it was mine or not. At that time, back in the 80s, DNA was nowhere around. There was no way to prove it was mine or it wasn't, but I didn't care. I would have raised that baby. But the devil that I was married to chose to murder it rather than to admit she was a whore. And now she's a murderer of babies. People, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. Because there is no way of knowing if that child was mine or the bouncer in the titty bar that she was having an affair with. I didn't even know she was going to titty bars. Shows you how naive I guess I was. But I'm going to tell you, people, abortion, it's dangerous for women, and it's heartbreaking. There's PTSD, there's all kinds of things that come from it. But I'm going to tell you right now, people need to start looking at the men who father these babies, who give a damn. And I'm not the only one. We need to have a voice. If that child is mine, I'm going to fight you to not have an abortion. Have the baby. Give it to me. I don't want nothing to do with you anyway if you want to kill a baby. Give the baby to me. I'll raise it. I'll find a good woman somewhere down the road. I'll marry her and she'll be a stepmother to this child. We don't need you, abortionist. We don't need you. All you have to do is birth that baby, but that's too much. That's too much to ask, to birth a baby. And oh my God, never mind, you might have to raise one. Abortion is for convenience alone. I don't want to hear this for the sake of the mother's life. Yeah, maybe 1.5%. And those abortions should be done in a regular hospital, not in an abortion clinic. Like Michelle said, just in the last month, 10 women have had emergencies called because their abortions went bad and they had to be rushed to a hospital to save their lives. So let me tell you something, people. You want to stand on this pro-abortion wagon? You're standing on it with wheels that don't roll. The only people you have backing you up are these sorry demon rats from New York, Maine, and across the country who want to murder our children. People, I didn't mean to go so long and I didn't mean to get so wound up. But this stuff hits home with me. I'm passionate about it. It matters to me. And it should matter to you. I didn't tell this story for pity or sympathy. I told this story in hopes that maybe some man might hear it. And if the opportunity comes in his life to stop someone from having an abortion, I hope he does so. I wished I was given the opportunity to have a choice. She had a choice. She had a choice to murder that baby or not. I didn't have a choice at all. And there's 50% saying that I was the father. And like I said, even if it wasn't mine, I would have loved it, cared for it, nurtured it, raised it. But I was denied that. And it angers me. It pisses me off. It's been 1982 is when this happened. So it's been a long, long time, people. I'm 64 years old, and it still hurts me today. That's why I stand so strong beside Michelle on the abortion and the abuse issues. This stuff has to stop. It's time that we overturn Roe versus Wade in this country. Let's stop illegal immigration. Let's get rid of these illegal immigrants. And let's have a few more babies that are born American by American parents and not aborted or killed just for the sake of convenience. People, I've went too long. My name's Deplorable Bobby, and this is the way I see it. I thought this was going to be an 8-minute video, but I went 20 minutes over. Please forgive me for that. I'm sorry about ranting and raving. But people, it tears the heart out of my chest. And I'm adamant that I never want to see this happen to anybody else. I don't ever want to see another child aborted. And my prayer is that someday that dream will come true. People, I'm Deplorable Bobby. This is the way I see it. Pray for our children. Those in the womb, the aborted, the abused, the exploited, the trafficked, the sexually abused. Pray for them. Pray for each other. And pray for me, that I might forever do the right thing and stay strong in the fight against abortion and child abuse. People, I love you. I'll talk to you later.